Hey lovelies, I'm back with another video, and of course this is old to me, new to you guys. I'm pushing out this content, baby, and as you see, I'm jumping right into it. We're making a leather bucket hat. Okay, this is genuine, real leather, okay? And this is the first time I'm working with it. So he gave me a bucket hat that he likes that I can cut up and use as a pattern. So that's exactly what I did. Now the leather came in these pieces. So shorty had a really puzzle together and figure out how I was going to make this work to get the pieces that I needed to construct this bucket hat. So basically I'm just piecing stuff together like a puzzle, and we're figuring out what's gonna fit on what panel because they all came in these rectangular panels from wherever he ordered it from. And I'm just literally trying to make sure that all of the pattern pieces fit. So I had to go ahead and buy me a Viking, okay? I had to buy me the heavy duty, the big boy, the big guns. I had to go ahead and bring that out. So I bought one because my little Singer heavy duty wasn't doing it. It wasn't even trying to get through this leather at all. So right now we're gonna use clips. We're not using no pins throughout this whole process. We're using clips, and we're gonna sew this together. And we're using clips because pins will puncture a hole through your leather, and it will create a hole that you're not going to be able to get rid of. You're gonna forever see it. Leather is not self-healing. It's not going to go away, and you're going to just have holes in your leather if you use pins. So we're using clips throughout this whole process. So you saw me flattening out that seam because we're now going to top stitch it down. You could use glue. They have glue for leather that will help keep those seams flat and in place, but I'm going to use my sewing machine, and I should have been using the longest length stitch. So your length should have been at its longest that it could be at. I did not do that. But you also do not want to back stitch. You want to go straight down. No back stitching, no reversing. Go straight down that seam. The reason why is because you are creating multiple holes in your work, and you do not want that. What you're supposed to do is go straight down the seam, bring that front thread to the back, and tie it off. I will show an example of that later. I was learning as I was going. When something didn't seem right, I went ahead and watched or tried to find a tutorial to see how to go about it. I'm going to go ahead and top stitch all my seams. As you see, he gave me two different leathers. He gave me an olive green leather, and he gave me a camo leather. And right now I'm folding it in half so I could add my slits so I could evenly distribute the base of the hat around the circle, the top of the hat. So once I do that, I'm gonna go ahead and line it up with all of the seams. So, which is easy to do for the simple fact that I had to cut the leather up into these panels. So it just made it easier. And then we're gonna go ahead and clip all of that into place so we can sew. Please take your time. Another thing that I want to mention is cut down your bulk. So I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. You see where I sewed down my seams? I should have cut that bulk where my seams were to make it easier to go through the sewing machine. And I'm also cutting slits into the circle of the hat around the perimeter so that it could lay nicely, so you could see how defined the circle at the top actually is. And once I finish doing that, I'm gonna go ahead and top stitch that seam allowance down towards the base of the hat, not towards the top where the circle is, towards the base as I'm showing here. So this is what I mean by tie down your stitch instead of back stitching. So you go ahead and you bring your top stitch to the back and you're gonna just tie a knot. You're gonna tie as many knots as you think will hold, and I was using nylon thread, heavy duty nylon thread. And you go ahead and you either clip it with scissors or you burn it off. You burn the thread off. So this is what I mean right here. You see I have all the seam allowance towards the end, like the edges. I should clip that in a triangle shape. So when I go to top stitch it, I'm just top stitching what's not in my seam allowance. That way when I go to add the other layer together, which is adding this brim to the base of the hat, it will not be so bulky. So that is something that I should have done, and I'm letting you guys know so you don't make the same mistake. This how it was literally like a roller coaster, and I'm here measuring the opening of the hat so I could cut out this 2-inch strip, the same length as the measurement plus 1 inch for seam allowance. And I'm gonna go ahead and serge the edges to finish the edge, and I folded this in half, tucking the seam allowance edges inside. So I'm basically sandwiching the seam allowance within this silk strip. So I'm using real, I think it's like chamois silk, and we're going to cover up the edges just to protect his head. He does have a bald head, and he wanted his head protected from the seam allowance that would be like sticking it. So he tried on this hat a few times throughout the process, and I basically were just, you know, contacting him and showing him how it was going all along the way, because he wasn't really sure of the design that he wanted for the hat. So this, I was working on it as I went, like as he responded is how I was working on the hat. So now we're going to top stitch that in place, and that's going to hold it down. So as you see, we're going to go ahead and give it a nice little top stitch here to hold everything in place. And this is an example by what I meant when I said cut my seam allowance, cut that bulk off. This is what I mean. It's going to make the sewing process a little bit easier because I don't have that extra bulk going through my sewing machine. It should help making it cleaner and easier. So when it came to the end, I went ahead and folded it up, tucked all of the edges away, and made sure that it overlapped seamlessly, and went ahead and finished stitching everything in the round. And I did it this way because I was learning. This was 2022, okay? Like, this is how old these clips are. This is when I was like really like getting into sewing stuff for other people, but very small stuff, because again, like I said, I was still learning and people were still trying to give me challenges. Anyways, I thought this was the finish of the hat, but it was not. When he received his hat, he decided he wanted to have grommets for airflow. So I went ahead and just tried to find the, put it in half, try to find the half of it so I could evenly put his grommets on the hat. So that's what I did. You'll just be seeing me do the application of the grommets and just showing you how I was like measuring it out for even distribution. I'm not gonna like say any measurements because honestly this is solely up to your own discretion. You could place your grommets or eyelets wherever you would like to place them. This was just a process that he wanted and where he wanted his grommets at, so that's how I went about it. So you're gonna need your grommets, the applicator, and a hammer. I went ahead and put mine on this towel thinking that it was really going to do what it needed to do. It really didn't. But I end up securing the grommets on a harder surface. So that is basically it. That is the finished hat. It was very simple to do. The leather is kind of just what made it a little bit more challenging, but we made it through it, and I'm so happy with the outcome of my first genuine leather bucket hat. I wish I have a finished result for you. I don't. Like I said, he was literally standing outside while I was putting these grommets in, so I didn't even think to, I thought I would be able to get a finished result on his head, but he did not want me to do that, so I didn't get one. So basically this is the finished result, and I hope you like it. Comment, like, and subscribe, lovelies. Until next time, later.